Hello everyone, this is Harminder Singh Suri from Jetset Immigration. I am a licensed immigration consultant in Canada, and in this video I'm going to share my knowledge about parents and grandparent sponsorship. So in this video you're going to find out who can apply, who can sponsor, and how to submit an expression of interest form and how to apply. So if you're someone who wants to sponsor their parents or grandparents, then make sure you watch this video all the way through the end, because you're going to find a lot of information that you probably didn't know. RCIC tweeted today as in January the 5th, 2021, that they are now sending out invitations to apply to people who had submitted the expression of interest in 2020. So, if you are someone who had sent an expression of interest to RCIC, you can be hopeful of getting that invitation. We have already received 4 invitations for our clients, and we are hopeful that we will receive more invitations for the other clients who had submitted through us. And if you're someone who is interested in sponsoring your parents and needs help with the application, then make sure you contact us on the number mentioned below, and our team will be more than happy to help you bring your parents here. So without further ado, let's see what is involved in this application. So let's first take a look at who can sponsor their parents or grandparents. So on the screen you see that it says you can sponsor your own parents and grandparents related by blood or adoption. The key word here is own. You can't sponsor anyone else's, even your wife's parents. For you to be able to sponsor your wife's parents, your wife has to be the primary sponsor. You cannot be the sponsor of your in-laws. So own is a very important keyword here. And it also says in case of divorce or separation, you can sponsor your parents and your grandparents, spouses, or conjugal or common law partners. So what it means here is that, if your parents had a divorce, then you can sponsor your stepmom or your stepdad, or for that matter, step granddad or grandmom, right? So this is allowed, right? So whichever parent you want to sponsor, you can sponsor their spouse also. And then it says in the application you can only include your brothers and sisters or half-brothers and sisters if they qualify as dependent children. So that means they have to be under the age of 22 at the time you're sponsoring your parents. If they're older than 22 years of age, then they will have to find their own way to get to Canada or to immigrate to Canada. Now, a lot of people ask me, Harminder, can I just sponsor my father or my mother? Yes, you could, but at the same time you can sponsor both of them also. So the next line says you may sponsor more than one person or couple if you meet the income requirements for all the people you want to sponsor and their dependents. Now, you can sponsor more than one person or a couple. So what they mean here is that, let's say you want to sponsor your parents, so that's 2 people, and then your wife or your husband wants to sponsor their parents, so that's 4 people, right? So as long as you're meeting the income requirements. Now, I will be sharing the table with you to see whether you're meeting the income requirement or not. You can check it out there. As long as you're meeting the income requirement, it doesn't matter to them how many people you're sponsoring. I mean, not more than 4, of course. Yes, if there are dependent children, it can be more than 4, but what I meant to say here is that parents or grandparents will be 4, right, put together for you and your spouse. Now, the next thing it says here is that the people you sponsor must be eligible. So by eligibility, they mean is that they should be medically fit, and they should have no criminal background, and they should be able to pass the biometrics. So these are pretty straightforward requirements, and a lot of people meet these requirements, 99% of the times, no parents or grandparents have any problem with this. Now we talked about who can sponsor. Let's see who cannot sponsor. You cannot sponsor your spouse's parents and grandparents. Now, remember I told you in the beginning, the key word there was own parents or grandparents. So that's exactly what it says here. You cannot sponsor your spouse's parents and grandparents. But you could become a co-signer on your in-laws application. So let's say your wife is sponsoring and she doesn't meet the income requirement for it. So you can become a co-signer in the application. You can bring in your income also, and you can help your wife or husband bring their parents to Canada. And the next one is you cannot sponsor someone who is inadmissible to Canada. That means they are not allowed into Canada. This could be for various reasons, right? Maybe because of some background issues. Background, I mean to say criminal background or something of that sort, right? So, or maybe there are going to be a liability in terms of medical requirements. So those are some of the things, right? So you can check out the inadmissibility criteria on Canada.ca to see who are the people who would not be eligible to come to Canada. So primarily it's these two things, right? You can't sponsor your spouse's parents and grandparents, and number two, you can't sponsor someone who is inadmissible to Canada. Now let's talk about submitting the interest to sponsor form. Now, if you're someone who is confused about how this application works, I'm sorry, I should have told you this before, but let me tell you now how this application process works. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to find out that you're eligible as a sponsor, right? By that, what I mean is that the number one thing is your financials, right? So you have to meet the income criteria for the last 3 years. It's not just 1 year out of the 3 years. It has to be all the 3 years and 3 consecutive years, and that is why it becomes a little challenging for most people, right? So you have to go on Canada.ca to check what the income criteria is. For 2020, they've reduced the amount because a lot of people lost their jobs and they lost income. So that is why it was slightly lower than the previous years. So let's say you meet the income criteria. The next thing is you have to submit an interest to sponsor form, right? This is the way it is. Earlier it used to be a different way of sponsoring parents. Now what they're saying is that we're going to open the form for you. Whenever the parent and grandparent sponsorship opens, they make the form available to everyone so that they can submit the interest to sponsor. And you have to fill out that information, fill out the information in the form, and I'll be telling you about what you need to fill out. And after you submit that, you're going to get an invitation to apply if you qualify according to them, right? So let's say you receive an invitation to apply. Hey, by the way, not everyone is going to receive that invitation, right? Tens of thousands of people apply for sponsorship, but only around 10,000 or 11,000 people receive it, right? This year it's going to be 30,000. So they're only going to invite a limited number of people. So that's that. After you get the invitation to apply, you're required to submit your documents, right? So everything related to your proof of relationship, your financials, your current status here, and your parents' status, and all those things. Police clearance certificate of dependents and parents and everyone, and all those documents. After that, they're going to assess you based on those documents that you had submitted, and then they are going to arrive at a decision whether they're going to give a PR or not to your parents, right? So this is how the process works. Now, coming back to the process of interest to sponsor. So what is it that you need to do when the gates are open, right? So what you need to do is, the interest to sponsor form is a very straightforward form, right? All they want is your information, as in the person who's sponsoring, and they need to know their status, right? So whatever your status is here. Let's say you're a permanent resident or a citizen. Hey, by the way, I missed this point earlier. You have to be a permanent resident at least to be able to sponsor your parents or grandparents. If you're on a temporary status, then you cannot sponsor your parents. So that is that. So you upload those documents of your status, and then you move on to the next thing, which is information about your parents. So, about your parents, you don't have to fill out much. It's just a first name, last name, and their date of birth, and that should be enough, right? You submit that form and keep your fingers crossed, right? God willing, you will receive an invitation to apply. So the next stage is invitation to apply, right? Like I said, they are currently sending people invitations. Only 10,000 people is what they're going to take, but they're sending invitations to more than 10,000 people because they know from experience that not everyone who had submitted the interest to sponsor form is eventually going to qualify after they assess the documents, right? So so that is why they send more people those invitations. And this year it's going to be 30,000 people. So after the invitation to apply, it will be, the decision making. So that is how it is. Now, let me tell you how you can apply for. Now, let me tell you how you can apply. To apply for parents and grandparents sponsorship, you need to go on canada.ca, download the application forms along with the document checklist, put the application package together, and mail it out to RCIC. It's very straightforward, isn't it? Well, you may think it is very straightforward, but you'll be surprised to know that a lot of people make mistakes in filling out the forms and all those things, right? Remember, you get only one chance in 5 or 7 years, or if you're lucky, you may get it every year. But keep in mind that it is like a lottery system, and you don't want to make a mistake in putting the application together. If your application is incomplete or not correct, you're going to lose that opportunity. So that is why it's always good to reach out to someone who can help you out with that, right? If you're confident, do it by yourself. But if you have the slightest doubt, then feel free to reach out to our team on the number mentioned below, and we will be more than happy to help you. I've already told you, we've been lucky in getting a lot of invitations. We've got 4 this month, and we are hopeful to get more for the clients that we submitted the interest form for. So that was all about parents and grandparents sponsorship. If you still have any questions related to this, make sure you leave a comment below, and I will try to answer those questions in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I'm going to bring a lot of valuable content related to Canada immigration for you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time.